I am Johnny Massacre and welcome to my show. Tonight, I played the PS5 video game known as Demon's Souls for 32 hours and completed it in one sitting just to give you this review. Who is with me? Give me a hell yeah! I have to make a show about this, so if anything, I think it's worth making a show to talk about the fact that I played this game for 32 hours from start to finish, which was completely insane. But beyond that, I just want to review the game because I love video games. Been playing video games since I was 2 years old. My dad had a ZX Spectrum, if you're old enough to remember what that is, back in the day. Way back in the day. And I just love games. And this game is really special. And there's a lot to say about it. For the uninitiated, Demon's Souls is a game by From Software. From Software is a Japanese developer that have come to prominence recently by making extremely unreasonably difficult video games. Their latest game, Elden Ring, won Game of the Year awards across the board and sold insane amounts of copies. So after having played that and dipped my toe into the dangerous From Software waters, I decided to backtrack and play their older games. I played Sekiro, the ninja game. We tried to finish that in 36 hours. I believe we played that for 36 hours and we couldn't finish it. Great game. And now we've gone all the way back to Demon's Souls, which is the original RPG game from Software that started it all, that was produced by their director known as Miyazaki. Now Miyazaki is basically, he became the creative director for the series, and he was the one that really started this whole trend of From Software super tough games with Demon's Souls. Now Demon's Souls came out for the PS3 and they re-released it for PS5 many years later, and that is the version that I played. And here is my review of the game. Now, to start off, the story. So, like all From Software games, the story is kind of ambiguous and not really clear, and that's why these games are so attractive. I can't really put my finger on why this works, because if there's not a good story, then it's kind of hard to understand how you love the game. But a lot of games, you're not really into the story that much anyways, right? It's always secondary to the gameplay. But in the modern age, with good voice actors and more bigger budgets and stuff, you do expect quite a good story. But this is an OG game, so I guess we can't expect too much. But the story seems to be, there's something called the Scourge, which is where demons get released into the world and they basically destroy everything. And the Scourge comes from something known as the Old One. The Old One in the game is some weird god that you actually see at the end of this game. It's this huge, I don't know how to even describe it. It's just this weird Japanese shit. It's this huge ball made out of flora. And by flora, I mean loads of branches and twigs and trees and stuff with a massive hole in the middle. It's some kind of godlike entity. And there's always a theme in From Software games where with opposites. So for every heaven you have, you get a hell, and for the idea of eternal life, you get the idea of eternal death, which is demons and stuff like that. So even though this thing supposedly is benevolent and brings life, it can also make a lot of bad stuff. And it brings demons to the world and they mess you up. Now, someone banished the demons, and I think he's this guy called Alant. And you don't really see him at all in the game, but he banished the demons and he was a good lad. But later on, he kind of just started to go a bit senile in his old age and thought, you know what, I want a bit more of that. And he basically became like Thanos, a bit of a trope, where he thought he has to destroy everything in order to save the world from corruption. So all the demons get released again. It's what's known as the Scourge. And the few people who were left on this planet, I think it's Earth or wherever this is set, who survived the demons ended up going insane. And the people that were killed by the demons end up in this place called the Nexus. Now the Nexus is some kind of weird alternate reality or zone, and you don't really know where it is, but apparently it's situated above the Old One. There's this kind of circular glass thing on the floor. The floor kind of sinks in a little bit, and then there's this circular glass thing, and it's full of water, and underneath that apparently is the Old One. And there are things called the Archstones, and this is basically like that again, another trope in these kind of fantasy genres where there's one amazing thing, which is the old one, and then there's like 5 little things that are scattered around the world, and you have to go find them to get the power to save the day. So there are these things called archstones. Now, forgive me, I can't remember exactly what these are, but in order to get to Alance, the guy who's like fucked all of this shit up, and kick his ass, you have to get all of these stones, I believe. And then once you have all of these stones, then you can go find the main boss and save the day and kill him. So that's kind of the story. Too long didn't read. Loads of demons came along, fucks everything up. You have to kill the demons, and that's it. So that was pretty much as I can remember. So much of it is not explained, but it's pretty simple. Get the 5 stones, and then you can save the day. Now, as for the visuals, this game looks fucking amazing. I didn't realize this, but this is a PS5 exclusive. And it's not cross-platform, so they didn't have to sacrifice the graphics so it would run on the older generation of consoles like PS4 and Xbox One. And I've said this time and time again over the years, but it really pisses me off the way developers, they will make things cross-platform, and it means the graphics are going to be worse because there's already a large installed user base of the last generation console users. They want to sell as many as possible. But the thing is, I honestly think if they just bit the bullet and made it for next generation consoles, it would look so awesome and so much better than everything else. It would probably sell just as well, and it will strengthen the franchise so much that in the long term, you're going to make more money anyways. And that's proved by this. Now, look at the actual graphics of this game. They are so goddamn good. Now, this is me fighting some, what's he called? The old hero. Now, it's all in 60 frames a second because of my rubbish graphics card that basically helps the PS5 communicate with my MacBook so I can record you this software. It sometimes goes to 30 frames a second, but it just looks unbelievable and it's so immersive. And I kind of realized halfway through playing that, man, all the other games in the series that came after it, after Demon Souls, there's Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. None of them are going to be as immersive as this and look as good as this because they weren't remade. This is a complete remake from the ground up. The original game is something like 13 years old. It's on PS3. And this is created by Blue Point Games. Now, apparently Miyazaki, who made this game, he hasn't even played this remake. It was developed by someone else, and his excuse was that it was kind of a bad time for him and he didn't want to bring up the old memories, and he doesn't like to go back into these things that had such tough development cycles. Spoiler alert, translation, he is mentally ill. Honestly, I say this every time I play one of this guy's games. It's like a sickness. This is like a sickness, and I'm just happy for this guy and these people that they managed to find an outlet for their sickness that actually made a net gain and made something positive everyone could enjoy. Because if they didn't have an outlet for games, they would be in a mental ward. These games are so unbelievably intricate, so detailed, that it defies belief. I just cannot imagine what the people went through coding this fucking insanely huge, complicated, intricate game. So the visuals are absolutely stunning. One of my favorite parts is at the end with these huge manta rays that are flying overhead during this storm, and it's just the most epic goddamn thing I have ever seen. So I'd like to show you this. This really, really blew me away. So here are these huge manta rays. This is, bear in mind, this is a 32-hour video. Look here, I'm not joking when I said I played this. I actually can't believe we played this for 32 hours. At the time, it didn't really seem that much, but when I was talking to someone in the gym about it today, they looked at me like I was a crazy man. Is it really that crazy to play a video game for 32 hours? I'm starting to think that it might be. So it's really hard to get the goddamn scroll bar to play at the right point. Okay, so I believe these are the manta rays at the end, and mate, this is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my life. I'll put the sound on so you can hear my reaction. Listen. Oh, this piece of shit. Okay. This piece of shit. You've been annoying me for a while. Oh, shit. Look at this. Man, like this I missed out and I should have been watching this. Look how cool this is. This game is fucked in the mind. What the hell is going on? Look at it. On, bruv. Release the mantas. So look, you can see the rain is coming down in sheets. I love the tone for this, the color tone. It's all kind of earthy grays and greens, and these mantas are flying ahead, the lightning striking, the stormy seas below, they're shooting you with these mad things. It's basically like fighting an alien invasion, but the UFOs are giant mantas. And there's a part where this big manta comes down, and you have to lace it with projectiles. So see if I can find it here, where the big boy, look, this one, look, this huge manta comes down. And when it's flying overhead, it just engulfs the whole screen. So the graphics in this game are on another level, and it's 3 years old, and it's just, this is the old one, by the way, the thing that started all of this madness. But it's mad to think it's 3 years old, and you can't help but feel after playing this game, why can't it be like the old days when there was a new console, all of the games were brand new, all of the games were not running on old hardware, so they all look so fresh and it was so exciting. I miss those days. We're being deprived because developers are kind of lazy and they want to make as much money as possible at our expense. What we deserve as people who invest in these companies year after year is graphics like this. These people should be releasing every game with graphics like this. So the graphics in this game are nothing short of stunning. It has to be said. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous visuals. Now, as for the gameplay, well, the combat is incredibly detailed and incredibly frustrating. It is the hardest game I've ever played, without a shadow of a doubt. You will get fisted again and again and again and again. You better get used to dying in this game, because it just happens relentlessly. And it's the enemies take off so much health that you're just afraid of the enemies, and you end up just trying to stab them and run away. But even if you run away, they have ways of closing the distance. And quite simply, there's a guard, but when you guard, you take damage. So you can't really just go around and guard everything. You got projectiles, and thank God I picked the projectile class at the beginning, whose magic regenerates. And I just saw someone in the comments say Arsenal beat Chelsea 3-1. That's totally distracted me and made me well happy. Thank you, Slubs, for distracting me in the best possible way. So I was using projectiles. That's an option to kind of cheese the game. Other than that, you've got a dodge, which is the bread and butter part of the gameplay. When they hit you, you dodge. But the thing is, quite often they'll go towards you and they'll delay, and you think they're going to hit you, you dodge, and then they're still delaying it, then they hit you. So sometimes you're waiting for ages for them to delay, because they often do that. But other times they'll just go right in your face without a second's notice. So you're constantly just getting murdered by enemies, and you're having to keep your distance. And even the regular enemies, they're a fucking nightmare to kill. But with all that said, even though it's really difficult, it's very responsive. The combat is really, really tight, and as long as you've got the reactions of a cheater, you've got all the tools at your disposal to win. Unfortunately, no one does have those reactions, so you're going to get constantly molested. But when you lose, you never feel it's because of the controls or anything, and this is part of the gameplay. You have to overcome overwhelming odds, and that's part of the satisfaction. Even though it's torture trying to beat the game and play it, when you actually do have a success, you enjoy it even more because you had to really earn it. And the level system's good. You have a hub where you can travel between any level you want, but you should really do it in a certain order because they're clearly of a raising difficulty level. And there's loads of different types of combat. You can have kind of spells and stuff, long range. You can have swords. There's the kind of clubs. There's crushing weapons. There's piercing weapons. There's spears. There's bows. So there's loads of different ways you can play this game, which you'll be familiar with if you have played other From Software games. So there's a lot of variation in the gameplay, and there's different builds you can do, and you can play the game completely differently depending on what kind of person you are, or what class you pick, and what weapons and what skills you decide to invest in. So the gameplay is top notch. It's really, really well done. As for the sound, this game, Demon Souls, it has the best sound of any game I have ever played. This is the champion. This is number one for sound design. The sound in this game is, the sound designer in his field is the equivalent of Maradona in his peak when he played for Argentina. He's the equivalent of Steve Jobs as an entrepreneur or businessman. He's the equivalent of the top motherfucker in any field, but in this case, in sound design. The sound in this game, the goddamn sound in this game. The impact of the weapon when you hit things, the impact of beasts when they kind of smash you up and attack you. I'll see if I can find it now, but there's one point I was fighting these horrible kind of twin demons in the third world, and the sounds they were making when they're growling and smashing stuff and punching stuff. Oh man, oh boy, it was so goddamn intense. And I think people don't appreciate how important the sound is in games, you know what I mean? It kind of goes over their heads because we are visual creatures. We're stimulated by what we see mainly. We're very visual creatures, right? Human beings, we're well visual. But if you take away the sound and turn it down and play it without any sound, you realize pretty much half of the game is gone. That is how goddamn incredible the sound is in this game. So let's see if we can find these two demons. Yeah, it's around this world. So this is world 3. Super horrible, super atmospheric, and just generally super cool. Yeah, this one. If I could just find it. It's so hard scrolling. It's so hard scrolling. Yeah, these guys. Right, listen to the sound effect. Listen to the impact, like the intensity of this. I think it's called a man-eater. Alright, bear with me. I know this is so janky for a review. Alright, listen to this. Right, that in itself, the spell, it goes like this when the projectile comes out of your hand. Listen to this. Whoa. Big. But right, let them get going. Give them a chance. It does try and fucking butt you off the edge. Just and the scream of the demon. There's actually 2 of them. Listen to this. Oh no, this is like a serious boss. This is like mad serious. Anyways, I don't want to take too much of your time. You have to take my word for it. The sound design in this game is off the charts. It's so goddamn good. I could just sit there and listen to it. It's so goddamn entertaining, and it just sounds so cool. So I don't know who the guy is who did the sound in this game, but he's a goddamn genius. He's a goddamn genius. And I don't know. I mean, the guys who came up with the sounds for Star Wars, like the lightsabers and the laser guns and stuff, he's not quite on that caliber, but he's near that kind of level in his own genre. It's just amazing. So the sound in this game, oh my good God, is it incredible. Now, as for my experience with this game, it was hard getting into it. I started off hating it. Within 2 hours, it had broken my spirit. And then I got into it in the middle. There's 5 worlds. By world 3, I was really getting into it. And then by the end, it had broken my spirit again. And it just got so insanely difficult. But I can't stop talking about it to people. And the game is, these games are a balance between frustration and, what's the word? And ecstasy. It's despair and ecstasy. And there's a lot of frustration in it, but there's a lot of good vibes when you finally overcome things, which is very rewarding. And really, whether this game is for you comes down to how much it frustrates you versus how much it rewards you. And I'm telling you, this game frustrated me more than it rewarded me. It gave me more despair than it gave me victory. It gave me ecstasy. But in spite of that, a couple of days later, I can't stop thinking about this game, and I can't stop talking to people about it. And knowing that there's no other games like this by From Software that are not cross-platform and have these kind of graphics, I'm just sad that we're not going to have another one of these games. Like, I'm desperate for it on the next generation hardware or current generation hardware. But in the beginning, the first level, when you logically progress through the game, you get to this knight and he just murders you. There's nothing you can do. And the worst thing is, every time you die, and this is the worst part of the game, you have to go back so fucking far to the beginning of the level. You have to go all the fucking way back, and you get to this knight and you have to try a different technique every time, but it takes you a few minutes to get there. So just to test out a technique, you have to waste your time getting to him. And so, okay, try the shield, and he just minces he just melts your shield, even if you're blocking, kills you. Okay, that doesn't work. So try a parry. It's impossible to parry him. His life. So this guy, it wasn't like he was off the beaten track and I was going to a wrong place. He's in the logical place where you're supposed to go in the first world, and he's impossible. And I realized that the developers were trolling me. They were trolling me. They put him there to make you think that it's impossible, but you actually don't need to fight him at all. That tells you everything you need to know about this game. It's so intricate and well designed. None of those things were left to chance. If ever you're thinking like, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just being a whiny bastard here and it's not that difficult. No, they're doing it to you on purpose. They do it to make you as frustrated as possible. These are sick people. I think they were abused when they were younger, and now they want to make you feel that the abuse that they had. It's so abusive and so torturously difficult. But then by the middle of the game, you go into this jail, and man, I was loving it. It was so atmospheric. The music in the jail, and then you look into these dark jail cells, you're looking for keys and you open them up, and it's you can see the front of the jail cell, what's just in front of the door, the bars, but you can't see into the back of the jail cell. It's completely dark. And so that, with the music, it literally sent shivers down my spine. I did this a few times. I was into it, man. I was into it. It's so intense. That was great. So World 3 was great. But yeah, World 2, I'll go back to World 2. So after getting past that night and then working out level 1, the boss was actually really easy. The boss is so impressive and looks awesome. Huge knight called a Tower Knight. But it was pretty easy. And then the second level, they're such motherfuckers. So in this game, unlike the games that came later, there's a limited amount of health, and it's from herbs that you consume. Now in later games, every time you die, you have the same amount of potions, bruv, that you quaff for health and magic, respectively. But in this game, you don't start with the same amount of health every time. You have a finite amount. That means when you run out, you can't fucking progress through the game, and you have to go farm other herbs. Now level 2, you don't get any herbs at all. No enemy fucking spawns a herb. And as I said before, this isn't because you're being retarded. It's not because you can't find it. It's because the developers specifically did that to force you to go back to the previous level, to piss around, sidetracking, to get some herbs and come back. And speaking of sidetracking, level 2, oh my god. So not only are your herbs limited, but there's a part where if you don't get to the boss, if you don't kill the boss, it sends you back so goddamn fucking far. And this is the fucked up thing. So you're sent back miles. So why would you go through the game slowly and cautiously like you were before? Ironically, you need to go through it cautiously and slowly. If you do that and take your time, you can kind of do it. But the problem is, if you spend ages, like hours, going through a level, being really careful not to die, knowing it's going to send you back, and then you die, then you go back to the start, you just don't have the patience to do it slowly again. So you start rushing. So you're trying to understand what will be the biggest net gain. Me going really fucking slowly, which is like grinding your face against sandpaper. It's so frustrating. You've gone really slowly. You're doing really well. You die in a really stupid, unfair way, and now you're going to do it all again. You feel like a fucking idiot. Are you really going to sit there and be cautious again, or are you going to try to run through it? Which will save you the more time? Like doing it 3 times really slowly, or like 30 times really fast? You just don't know. And here's the other fucked up thing. This is possibly the most fucked up thing about this game. It wasn't in any other From Software game, as far as I know. It might be in Dark Souls, but it's definitely not in Sekiro, and it's not in Elden Ring. In this game, you start with a fat life bar. If you die when you're inside that world, it halves your fucking life bar. Half. And most of the enemies will just kill you in one hit. So you're constantly paranoid you're going to die, because if you do, you're on half a health bar. I had some ring. Maybe every class has it, or maybe it's just my class. I think every class has it from the start. If you put the ring on, you get 75% health instead of 50. But that means you have one less ring slot. You have 2 ring slots. And the rings are mad OP in this game. They give you wicked powers. So that means if you die, you lose half your life. You can only lose 25% if you wear this ring and give up a ring slot. So they put that in as well. And I'm telling you, the bosses are not that difficult. I killed many of them on my first attempt, and they're way easier than Elden Ring. But the real boss of this game is the goddamn level. It's just, oh my god. When you have to go back to start, it's brutal. And level 2, no fucking herbs. I'm just thinking, why are you doing this, From Software? You're doing this on purpose. You know it's not fun. It's actually not even a gameplay element. You're just messing with the numbers. You're just like, take away this many hit points. That's not part of the game. If you want to make it harder, put some different enemies or whatever. But don't just cheese me out by removing my health. Man, it's frustrating. And not only do they remove your health, but you can't get any health on that level. So level 2 was so difficult. Level 3, as I said, was really getting into the jail. Level 4 was pretty cool. That had the mantas and stuff, and towards the end of that it got great. And level 5, oh my god. Okay, so level 5, when I was playing it, I see Chris Campbell in the comments. He says, I think part of the problem is you're trying to get through it quickly. So my mate said that most people don't do it in one sitting, and they get frustrated, and then they sit down, and then they'll come back to it. But yeah, I was trying to blaze through it, and I got to level 5, and Chris, I was kind of all right with it. I had the wind in my sails at this point, and Chris Campbell, I think, said, oh man, everybody hates this level. Was that you, Chris? I think that was you. And at the beginning, I thought it was all right. And you know how in these games, they give you all these things for poison and other things like plague, and you never really come across these things, but you know in the back of your mind, you should start getting those items or saving those potions or whatever, or getting the gear that will protect you from poison, because later on, you're going to get poisoned. Little did I know, this whole level was made out of poison. There's just poison up the wazoo. There's 2 types of poison. So even if you have gear to defend against one, there's another type that will get you. I didn't want to I can't concentrate reading your comments at the same time as doing this review, especially after not sleeping that much after this live stream. Brad W says, it's like listening to a supermodel speak highly of her abusive boyfriend. Like, you don't have to put yourself through this, right? That's the thing. You're abusive, darling, but you're beautiful. That's what this game's like. You're abusive, but you're beautiful. And on the last level, I was kind of doing all right, and I thought, I'm going to show Chris Campbell or whoever said that, I'm not going to have too much trouble on this level. You said everyone hates it. I'm going to be all right. It was going through really slowly, like I told you. Now, on this level, there's a small isolated archipelago, if you will, these little islands or mounds in a sea of fucking poison. And this part came after a long fucking section where I thought, man, this level's got to be over. Nope. Huge fucking swamp, archipelago of little mounds and islands you have to get through. And people leave messages in the game. You can't write it because obviously people write some abusive shit, but you can use stock text and put them together to make a sentence. And all these people are saying, I want to go home. Oh my God, please help me. So when I read that, I felt a little bit of hope. Like, fuck, I'm not the only one suffering in this hell. It's like going into hell, this game. So you're going through these islands. When you go in the water, you get poisoned. The thing is, though, you've got all these mad stats. Like, I had a ring that regenerated my health. So the bar's going down slowly from poison, but it's regenerating from health. But it's basically a net negative. It's slowly going down. And when you're in this poison, it's like moving through treacle. If you lock onto an enemy, if you run, it's okay. But if you lock onto an enemy, try to run or try to dodge, you get stun locked and you go into this animation where you can't do anything. Now, you have these horrible, like, elephant man looking motherfuckers on these islands. And they're all plague-ridden and just disgusting. And they're huge and they're brutish and they've got a club. And when they see you in the poison, they'll like sometimes come out, wade into the poison, and you're stun locked. Man, you can't move. Oh my God, this fucking level. So you're going all the way through the poison. You kill this fucking elephant thing. You go all the way around. Then there's 2 more of these fucking elephants near the portal. And you're thinking the boss is through the portal. So I kill these fucking elephants. Then when you clear out the room, you're desperate for items because you need health. And you need the in-game currency, which is called souls. In Elden Ring, it's runes. In Sekiro, it's, I don't know, something else. In this game, it's runes. So the runes you can spend on items, you can use it to level up as well. And when you die, you lose half of your fucking runes. You have to go back and find them. If you die before you find them and collect them, you lose them forever. So you have to go and find all this shit. And the other thing is, all the items you see in the level, if you pick it up on that run and die, they're all fucking gone. They're all gone. So I'm harvesting through the level. Now, they'll put weird random shit in the game just so you go and check it out and you get killed by it. They're so sadistic. So there are these slugs in the game. And then at one part when I'm harvesting, after killing the fucking plague-ridden elephant man, there's a huge bunch of slugs, like a bunch of bananas or grapes suspended from this fucking ceiling in a cave. And I'm killing the slugs. And I'm like, what the fuck's that? I try to slash it and you fall down. And if you fall down anywhere else, you're okay. But for some reason, you die. And I died there. I wanted to tear my fucking hair out at that part. And do you know what makes it even worse? I told you you got life bar. If you die, you get half life. You got these potions that give you a life bar back. But there's a limited amount and they spawn really rarely. So I've only got like 5 of these things. I keep dying like 4, 3, 2. And I'm thinking, if I run out of these fucking things, I can't complete this level on a half life bar. So there's so much horrible pressure to get it right. And the more pressure there is, the more chance there is of fucking it up. Later on in the game, you could actually buy this thing to get your life bar back. But it was so many runes. If you lost them all, you'd have to spend ages farming for runes just to get one of these fucking things. Or just go around like farming trying to find one. The game is so brutal. And not only that, to add another level of brutality, right? People talk about how I completed this game in like 24 hours or this many hours. People who say they completed it in like 15 hours or whatever, they're such fucking liars that they are using a guide to telling them where to go each and every area. And the reason I know that is this. So in the game, on level 2, there's one random NPC in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. This random cunt walking around. You talk to him and he disappears. What happens then? He then is in the Nexus, the hub, from where you access all of the worlds. So this guy then appears in the Nexus and you can buy shit from him. You can buy herbs, you can buy life, you can buy even these stones. And when that motherfucker turned up, it changed the whole game. Now I don't have to go around farming. Every time I get money, just buy as many fucking herbs as possible, basically health. And if I hadn't gone walking around randomly, I would never have found this game. So you simply cannot complete this game in a quick time, a really quick time. You just can't do it because you are forced to explore every unreasonable nook and cranny in order to get the critical things. If you don't do that, you'll miss some part of the game that is so critical. So you have to explore everything. You can't just run through it. You'll miss out on too many things. So there's that as well. Anyways, that level, it's basically a giant sewer and there's just shit everywhere. You're just walking through shit the whole time. So that level was, oh my God. And then some horrible boss. I thought it's over, but it's not over. There's another boss, and that boss, I started with the spell character. There's like 4 bosses in that level. One of them's called like a dirty sentinel or something like that, and literally spawn is fucking miles away. It's this blob. It's this huge fucking thing throwing projectiles. I can barely even see it. I'm just throwing projectiles from about 500 meters away and end up killing it. And I'm thinking, if I had to play this game without a long range weapon like that, how the actual fuck are you gonna do it? So those beasts, look at these beasts, right? For example, to show you what I'm talking about, look at these beasts that I'm fighting here. Now I'm constantly running. Look, projectile. Okay, see, look, when it closes distance, it immediately fucks you. But I do not want any hand-to-hand combat at all because they're just going to fuck you up and they're going to melt your life. So I'm constantly, even from distance, just piling in fireballs. When they get close, just dash away. So even with fireballs, can you imagine if I just used a sword for both of those motherfuckers? There is no way in hell. This game is insanely difficult. And people say it's one of the easier FromSoft games. There's no way, bruv. I cannot accept it. But it's a deeply personal experience. It's kind of, some people say it's the easiest, some people say it's the hardest. Elden Ring does not compare. Like going from the spawn point to the boss every time you die, there's nothing as difficult as that in Elden Ring. This is way harder. So I'm using projectiles to cheese the whole thing. And on the last level, honestly, if I had to use a projectile, if I couldn't have used a projectile, I have no idea how I would have done it. I have no idea how I would have done it. It would have been impossible because there was this knight and he was an absolute rapist. Every time he got near you, he would mash you into little pieces. this motherfucker. And the only way I could do the game, you'll see here. Whoa, Ultimate Samurai, sorry to hear that, dude. Fucking hell. Ultimate Samurai, sending you my respects. Sorry for the bad news. So look, this guy here, he can't go onto this platform, so he has to keep going away. So that means I can keep cheesing him with fireballs. If I hadn't been able to do this, there's no way I would have been able to kill him, because he melts your health instantly. So, man, anyone who plays this game with melee, it's just incredible. I take my hat off to you. It's so goddamn hard. But anyways, that 5th level was insanely hard. And then we basically finished the game, and I realized I couldn't. I think I killed the last boss, which the last boss is after this part. He wasn't that difficult, but getting to him was harder than any boss I've ever played in any From Software game. So when I killed the last boss, I realized that I hadn't finished all the bosses in the other levels, so I had to go back into hell, and into hell I went. I had to go back, had to kill other bosses, and you can see just by the way I'm talking about it, it was intense, and it was extremely difficult, and it was extremely frustrating. But there's something weirdly pleasurable about this game. I don't know. The same reason people like sadomasochism, they like to get whipped and beaten. I like to play these kind of games. So it's sadistic by design. And as I said before, when I played Elden Ring, another From Software game, I was thinking, is it me? I almost felt like I was tricked by the developer into questioning myself. It's like being gaslit. You know, am I the problem? No, I'm not the problem. It's the developer. They make it this hard on purpose. And also, the game explains nothing, and that's part of these experiences. Is you work it out for yourself, so it feels like a real achievement. You do it on your own. There's things in this game they don't tell you, and someone told me when I was playing the stream, if someone hadn't told me, you'd be in so much trouble. For example, there's one guy who can upgrade your weapons. He's in the most esoteric random area, only one spot in the game. The game doesn't tell you about him. It might mention his name, it doesn't tell you where to go. So not only is the game really hard gameplay wise and level design wise, it's really difficult to understand what the hell you're supposed to actually do. So that's my experience with it gameplay wise. And in spite of all of that, this game is fucking good, despite its insulting difficulty level. These games have deep, intricate gameplay mechanics that reward careful observation, learning, and strategic thinking. But you can't just button mash your way through the game. If you try to button bash it, you are screwed. You're absolutely screwed. So instead, you have to understand the enemies and the environment and your own capabilities. And it's this level of depth that keeps the gameplay engaging and rewarding. For example, there's a dragon boss. Like, look how awesome this dragon looks, bruv. Look how awesome the dragon looks. It looks so fucking cool. There's one dragon boss in this. This motherfucker. It took me ages to kill this guy. I mean, it's just so goddamn impressive. You can see him in the top left there. And you have to use your powers of observation. Now, I don't have any powers of observation, but Deathclaw Jedi did. And he told me that, see its eyes, how they're yellow? You're hiding from it. It's a stealth mission. When it sees you, the eyes go red. So you have to use your powers of observation. If you know that, then you know when you need to hide. And then if you hide, its eyes will go back from red to yellow, as long as you're not exposed for long enough. So, you know, you've got to have a strategy in these games. You've got to have a strategy, and there's a learning element to it, and you've got to observe. And that makes you feel really good when you succeed, because you've really used your brain to succeed. And these games are known for their dark, atmospheric worlds filled with mystery and lore. I mean, look at it. It's so richly detailed. It's so immersive. So even though it's so challenging, all of those things make it a joy to explore. And the difficulty, which I hate so much, I cannot deny it enhances the sense of danger and mystery that permeates these worlds. The game does not hold your hand in any respect. And if you want to argue in its favor, you would say that the game respects your intelligence and your ability to figure things out for yourselves. And I think there's something in that today where more and more game companies think we're idiots and they're dumbing things down. Maybe we are becoming stupid. Street Fighter, there's a 4-button mode in case you can't play it properly. This game respects your ability and intelligence. It doesn't hold your hand. And so that means when you discover things or solve puzzles, it's more satisfying. It's more rewarding in an age of instant gratification where you just get everything like that. I guess this game stands out. And for those reasons as well, there's a really strong community aspect. And now I'm understanding why there's such a strong community aspect. And it's because they don't explain things. This happened with the game PT, that horror game, where it came out as a demo, playable teaser, and no one knew what it was. And that created this huge buzz where everyone's collaborating, trying to figure out how to do it. This game has the same thing. That's why the community aspect is so strong, because it doesn't explain things. And that's how I bonded with people during the stream who did know things. They can share their knowledge so we can all achieve a goal together. Players share tips, strategies, experience, and that kind of creates a sense of camaraderie, like we're in it together. So that was a good part of the game. And this game, the replayability is definitely awesome. I haven't replayed it. I played it once for 32 hours, but I want to go back in because there's so much more stuff I want to do. I want to find all the bosses. I want to find all the weapons. I want to try different builds. I actually want to try and do it hand to hand. And I want to have different strategies, and I want to find new challenges. So this game really does come down to what I mentioned earlier, the balance of ecstasy versus despair. That's what this game really comes down to. It's a cycle of frustration and triumph. And that characterizes not only Demon Souls, but all Souls-like games by From Software. And that resonates with people, this emotional journey. It's an emotional journey. If you watch the 32-hour live stream, you'll see it's very emotional. And that pattern of struggle and eventual success in the end can make victories feel even more rewarding and meaningful. But sometimes that doesn't hit you for days later. That's how deep this game hits you. It takes days for it to kind of sink in what the hell happened. And without wanting to get too pseudo-intellectual, I think this game mirrors many experiences in life. Just as in the games, real-life successes, as you know, they'll come after periods of hardship and struggle or failure. Like, that's part of a fundamental part of the human experience, overcoming adversity. And doing that can make the ultimate achievement feel more significant and fulfilling because you went through so much shit to get there. Now you really appreciate it from this perspective and this humility. But From Software, take note, it's important to remember that people's tolerance for frustration and hardship vary. So this game is not for everybody, not for everyone, because in my opinion, this game veers heavily into frustration, really heavily into frustration, more than it does rewarding you. It's beyond insane. It is so fucking abusively hard. It really is. It really is. Not including the bosses. I mean, the last boss, he does a thing where it's called Soul Suck. And he removes your fucking level. He removes your level. So there's no limit to how many levels you can get removed. If he keeps doing it to you, you can go down to level 1 and you're going to have to go through the whole game again for like 20, 30 hours to get your levels back. That is how insanely hard this game is. That's how much it leans into difficulty and not rewarding you. It's just insane. It's just insane. But the hardest part is dying and having to go back with half a health bar. That is the hardest part of the game. And I think the main appeal of these games is the hero's journey. This is the hero's journey. It is the hero's journey in a game. You know the hero's journey. It's the kind of guy, he's a knight, something happens to the village or happens to his family, and that's the inciting incident. And he can't go back to the way it was before, and he has to go out on an adventure against overwhelming odds, hordes and hordes of the most horrific enemies, waves of them, armies of them, huge gigantic bosses as big as towers in the darkest, nastiest places on Earth. And he has to go in there where it's all chaotic and evil, and he has to establish order and bring light to the darkness. That is the hero's journey, and that's what I found compelling in the game. Why is this horrific nightmare of a game so fucking addictive and compelling when nothing in real life is this horrible and impossible? I think it's because this game is an exaggeration of the fundamental human experience, and the fundamental human experience is growth and potential, what we can become, because we're always changing from birth to death. We're always changing. It's the fundamental part of the human experience. People are always, interested in Star Wars because it's the potential. It's fulfilling the potential that we all have, that we can be better, we can be something, and everything changes. And this game is like being the lone hero, facing overwhelming odds. This kind of trope for storytelling that's been used for centuries, from mythology to modern movies and games. This hero's journey is the fundamental human experience of overcoming these odds, but it's in a condensed, intense, like 30-hour form that you can enjoy. Progression, growth, and change. That's what happens in this game. You start off kind of small, you look kind of shitty, and then you change, you become bigger, you get sick armor, you get better at the game, your skills get better, and that it taps into that fundamental part of the human experience about kind of growth, learning, change, and potential. So I think that's why people like it. I really do. Humans, we kind of thrive on learning things and adapting. That's where we thrive, right? So in order to learn and adapt, we have to be able to change and grow, and then we transform ourselves when kind of new challenges and opportunities come along. And the desire for self-improvement drives us to learn new skills, seek out new experiences, and basically become better versions of ourselves. And in the context of video games like Soulsborne, and in this case Demon Souls, this desire for transformation and growth is reflected in the gameplay mechanics. We start weak as fuck, and then you have to learn, you have to do it again and again and again. You have to learn the patterns, you have to adapt to what the bosses do, and then you become stronger in the face of these challenges. And so it's like an exaggerated or stylized version of growth, adaptation, and transformation. That is this game. Huge monsters, huge spells, taking out these insane monsters in the craziest of environments. It's like the kind of struggles we go through week to week, month to month, year for year, but kind of exaggerated and condensed into a short form. So I think that's why it's so compelling. It's just part of the human experience. It taps into a fundamental part of the human experience. It really does, because I can't explain exactly why I like it, but just as a human, it appeals to the kind of base instincts that we all have and that I have. So this game is basically life in a nutshell. There's highs and lows. It's a fucking struggle. You're going to fucking die, but we're going to do our best to survive. And whatever life throws at us, whatever fucking demons and monsters, we have to find a way to learn, adapt, and survive. And if we do that, we're going to change and we're going to become something better. That's what this game is all about. Maybe I'm going too deep, but I think that's why we like it. The game allows us to kind of play out these aspects of human nature. How hard is this game? For me, it's harder than Sekiro, which is supposed to be the hardest Soulsborne game ever. It's harder than Elden Ring. Those games are longer, but this game is harder. That's what she said. But it's very subjective, and it depends on individual play styles and gaming experience, which is one of the reasons why it's so interesting. It's kind of different for everybody. But it is, make no mistake, it's brutally challenging. The reduction of health upon death, oh lord, that is such a skank. That is such a skank. It really is. The lack of checkpoints in the game. The game also increases difficulty. When you die, it will also throw harder enemies in there. There's one level, it threw in this kind of samurai guy. They're always red, these motherfuckers. They're glowing red. And you start the game and he looks at you and he instantly runs at you and starts slicing you up. When you get his health down, somehow if you manage to kill him, he fucking heals himself. So you have to get in there and hit him before he heals. But if you get in close, he'll probably kill you. So the game gets harder when you die. In addition, they throw in more harder enemies in addition to having a half-life bar. It is just completely insane. But that insane difficulty, in combination with the amazing atmosphere and like meticulously designed world, is why this is a beloved classic and why it's a benchmark in Souls-like games. Because when you finish it, you do feel a deep sense of accomplishment. And that's all From Software games. So I'm just happy to play this one, the one with the best graphics. Wonderful game. Apparently this is the From Software game that requires the least amount of hours to complete. Demon Souls, apparently takes 30 to 35 hours. That's what it took me. The next one, Dark Souls, apparently takes 40 to 50 hours. Dark Souls 2, 45 to 55 hours. Dark Souls 3, 35 to 45. Every other game takes longer. And this game felt hella long. I'm not going to lie. So this is the shortest of all of them. And I'm afraid of playing the next one. I'm afraid after this. But I'm also sad that it's not going to look as gorgeous, as wonderful, as incredible as this. I'm going to miss this. Look at it. Look at it. It just looks incredible. And then amazing to think, Blue Point remade this game. Someone who isn't even From Software. And the guy who's the creative director From Software, Miyazaki, has never even played this fucking game. Look at it. Everything about it. So atmospheric. This world, World 3. You go into the depths of this level, and there's all this kind of blood. There's a sea of blood. There's kind of intestines and giant human innards that they're kind of alive and pulsating, and horrible Lovecraftian enemies with twisted faces all over them screaming at you. And then there's a part of this level just looks incredible with kind of these gorgeous lanterns. There's just something about it. It's just so inviting and intoxicating. Ah, man, what it just I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it. So we might have to go back into it. We might have to go back into the game and play it, because I don't know where I'm gonna get my fix from. But I probably will play Dark Souls next. And I was thinking we should try to do it in 72 hours. What do you think about that? 72-hour live stream. Can we complete? I don't know if that's sensible. It's probably kind of dangerous a little bit. But when I finish the game, I think this tells you really about my feelings regarding this game. When I finished it, I called up my best friend straight away because he played it and he's completed it. And I just had to share with him the experience. So the things you want to tell your loved ones are the things you love the most, or the things that are just so important to you, or had an effect on you. So the first thing that I called him up and I talked about it. I love this fucking game, man. What an intense experience. What an intense experience. What do I give it out of 10? I give it a 9.5. I give it a 9.5. I can't give it a 10 because... Can I give it a 10? I gave Sekiro a 10. And this is probably better than Sekiro. There's just parts in it where I feel, okay, you're making it difficult, but you're just making it difficult in a lazy way. So the weapons break. Man, do you really have to do that? Do you really... On top of all the shit in this game, and it's a game of resources and a game of numbers, like the amount of souls you have, that's like your currency, that you can spend it on a level, you can spend it on health, you can spend it on weapons and armor. At the end of the day, all of those things will give you better numbers and the enemy's worse numbers. That's what it all comes down to. You're going to fuck with my economy even more by making my weapon break, so I have to spend more to replace it, or I can't now access the weapon on an important run. It's things like that. They take it too far. It's like they're taking the piss. You're taking the piss From Software. That's why I can't give you a 10. You can make it difficult by putting in other enemies and shit, but just to do things like that, like make the weapon break or not give you any potions on the level, I don't know. Maybe I'm complaining too much, and if they took that out, you wouldn't have the same sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. But it's just a few things in it. I thought, you motherfuckers, you really From Software? Really? You're going to make me go back that far into the level? You're going to make me go back that far? And in my way, you're going to have at least 2 enemies where it's a 50-50 every single time, and I have to kill them. There's no way I can't, because I get to a part where I can't progress and they're going to come back at you. You're going to make me have 2 50-50s on this long route back to the boss. You're going to make me die so many goddamn times, so I can't give it a 10. But I give it a 9.5. I give it a 9.5. I really do. So, what an experience, man. Demon Souls, PS5 exclusive. You've got to play it. This is the jail that I was talking about. I was loving this. See if you can hear some of the music. It might be a bit quiet, but... Listen. I think it's actually a little bit before when you're in the jail cells. Yeah, here. Go back a bit more. how atmospheric it is. Look how tired I am. Look how into it I am. Look at my face. I'm completely in the game, bruv. Look. My glass is steaming up. Look, completely in the game. Completely inside it. Trying to get my shit back. Like, listen to the kind of... Can't believe I felt spooky atmospheres in the background. It's just unbelievable. After the time before that, when I was so pissed. It's not even here. I'm tripping. This level is just so cool. I'm gonna miss this game, man. I'm gonna miss this game. So it's just like it's this loop. There you are. Yeah, Demon Souls. I think. Yeah, one of the coolest things I've played. Very glad to experience it with you, and I'm just sad we're not going to have a similar experience, right? 32 hours in one go, like the best graphics there is, super detailed gameplay, super intricate level design, like super rich lore and atmospherics, and just another world that these geniuses have created, and abusively hard. All the way through the game, I was saying it's ugly. It's an ugly game. Despite the beauty of the graphics, like the themes of the game itself, you always have the polar opposite. You have heaven and you have hell. You've got eternal life and eternal death. The game's beautiful, but it's fucking ugly. Like, it's some of the decisions are ugly decisions, and some of the aesthetics of the game, some of the monsters in it and parasites, it's just ugly as hell. This is the best and worst parts of the human experience. Demon Souls. Make sure you get it. 9.5 out of 10. That is my review. I am Johnny Massacre, and if you're just joining us, we are reviewing Demon Souls on the PS5. But if you have been watching from the beginning, stop your grinning and drop your linen, donate some cash, and let's keep winning. Streamlabs.com/Johnny Massacre. The more you donate, the more of me you're going to get. And I might do more of these long live streams. We've got $0. The counter has reset. Thank you, everyone, so much for your huge donations. You know who you are. Some of you wish to remain anonymous because you're absolute heroes. We made $1,003 last month. Very respectable total. Can we beat that this month? If we can make 1,000... I will be able to keep the lights on once more. 29 days to go. Please do it now. Give generously. I can't make these videos unless you donate, because otherwise I won't have any money. I'm going to have to make money at the expense of these videos doing some other dirty work. So please give generously. I would very much appreciate it. I do see you in the comments. Chris Campbell says, watching your streams have me thinking I might try Dark Souls myself. Not Demon Souls. So I think we're going to do Dark Souls next, but I wonder what the graphics are going to be like. They're not going to be as good as this, so it's hard to accept that. Man, the Asterix boss in this. There's a boss that looks like an Asterix character. It's so incongruous with the game, but he's so aggressive, and that, I mean, that was such a great part of the game. I killed him on my first try, I'm pleased to say, but it was just so goddamn intense. So yeah, what are we doing next? So we do have another 24-hour live stream scheduled for the 29th of May at 9 PM PST. Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 OG on the PS1. We're going to use an emulator. We're going to try to finish both games within 24 hours. I've never finished the original Resident Evil, and I regret not finishing it. So I'm going to get that monkey off my back, and I'm going to attempt to finish Resident Evil 1 on the PS1. I don't know anything about where to go or what to do, so we're going to try to do that within 24 hours. I have finished Resident Evil 2 before, aka Biohazard 2, one of my favorite games from back in the day, but it's been fucking decades since I played it. So we're going to go OG. We're going to try to finish the original Resident Evils as we kind of look to play a few more of those Resident Evils, including the recent sequels and remakes and stuff like that. Mark L says, what up, Johnny? Lot of mercy, lot of mercy, lot of mercy. Mark L, oh lord, good to see you in the comments, bruv. Always good to see you, mate. Brad W says, man, you would make one hell of an interrogator for MI6. Brad W says, hero's journey sounds like a supervillain's origin story. Your reflexes are probably enhanced by now. Yeah, I think I did gain some special skill. I got golden fingertips now after completing this game. Chris Campbell says, all this emotive oratory about a mere game. You could be a great politician. I really love it that much. Thank you. I will take that as a backhanded compliment, Mr. Campbell. I do appreciate you. Engineer. From the mind of the engineer himself, Mr. Campbell, big up to you. Always appreciate seeing you on this stream. Lana Moshi. So it is 6:38 in the morning, and it's Wednesday. We finished playing this game on Monday morning. So I went to bed. I slept for 8 hours, woke up at 4, and then I was up until about 8 a.m. And then I went to bed, and then I woke up today about 4 again, I think. absolutely destroyed. I couldn't sleep. You know, I missed out on so much sleep, but I couldn't just sleep through all day. It just, my brain doesn't work like that. My body doesn't work like that. And now it's 6:39. It's way too early. It's way too early. And I was supposed to be doing things at like 8:30 today or something, or like 12. I don't know. But I feel I should just conk out and sleep. And you wonder why I can't keep the lights on, because fuck, I'm trying to keep this schedule with YouTube and whatnot. Anyways, here we are. It's all worth it. We played some Resident Evil 4 yesterday, remake. That was good fun. I'm going to try to do that very, very soon for you. We've been streaming for about an hour. As I said, I do appreciate you all, and I think I'm going to love you and leave you because it's so early in the morning. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for today. I will be seeing you, of course, tomorrow. I have been Johnny Massacre, and I tell you what, Massacre mates, you better be back for the next episode. Otherwise, I'll be coming around your house. Chris Campbell says, do you ever have to catch up sleep for so long that you get a sore back? But yeah, my back's been mad sore, bruv. I do. Please make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because, well, that is what all those other cunts tell you to do. Layers.